Hey everyone, my guest today is Paul Musson, author of Capital Offense: Why Some Benefit at Your Expense. Paul is a veteran investment professional with over 30 years of experience, including leading the IV funds at Mackenzie Investments. He founded Paddington Capital Management and writes the Political Economy blog, offering insights into economic systems and advocating for financial reform. Welcome to the show, Paul. I want to thank you for being here. And I was wondering if you could tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you're working on.
Yeah, well, thank you, Sam. Thank you for having me, and nice to meet you.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, I was a professional investor for most of my career,
Mm.
managing mutual funds, and and it was a great job, and really enjoyed it. So I was very fortunate to actually love my job,
Yeah.
love my team, the company, everything. And but as an investor, I think that investors play a very important role in the economy. Investors don't create capital, but they facilitate the creation of capital. So let me explain. So as an investor, I live in Canada, I would take the savings of Canadians. So this is capital that Canadians had earned, created. They consume some and then they save some for their retirement. So they would give it to me. Then I would look around the world with my team for the companies who I thought were going to put that capital to the most productive use and do so carefully. They get the capital, they create more capital, their profits go up, they hire more employees, they pay them more, their share price goes up because profits going up, and
Mm.
then our mutual fund goes up and our clients benefit and they have a little bit more capital to retire with in the future. And so it's a beautiful system because nobody's benefiting at the expense of anybody else. It's a mutual benefit situation, and that's the way a free market is supposed to function.
Mm.
That whatever wealth you have, whatever capital you have, is supposed to be a reflection of the capital that you created and then fairly exchanged with someone else for the capital that they created.
Mm.
So when you retire, if you actually fortunate enough to own a house and pay it off, and you got some savings, all that wealth is a reflection of wealth that other people out there also have because of your efforts.
Yeah.
So it's not at anybody else's expense. And I can give you some examples in a bit. But increasingly, what is happening in the market system
Mm.
is that people are making money at the expense of somebody else rather than the
Okay.
mutual benefit. And this is facilitated primarily by central banks. So the Federal Reserve in the US.
Mm.
And it's not a conspiracy theory. I believe that these people actually thought that their actions would be for the benefit of everybody and I can explain how it works. They thought that by driving asset prices higher like stock markets and housing markets,
Mm.
that yes, it's good for the stock owners and the housing owners, but don't worry, the benefits of all that will trickle down to everybody else in the economy and everybody will be better off. Well, no. Not only did the benefits not trickle down, so they didn't benefit, but those in the bottom half are worse off. They're
Mm.
not better off. And so now you're faced with housing affordability crises in many developed countries. So the US has gotten there, particularly after COVID. In Canada and Australia, it's much worse than it is in the States. So younger people can't even dream of one day being able to afford a home in which they could raise a family.
Yeah.
The average first time home buyer in America right now is 40 years old.
Mm.
It used to be 31 or 30 back about 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So, to finish answering your question, when I was witnessing what was going on, I became very angry and I was very naive when I first got
Mm.
into the industry. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know anything about monetary policy or economics. I was an investor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I got very angry, and starting around 05, 06, and how the central bank was encouraging reckless behavior, encouraging
Mhm.
the housing boom. And then when it all blew up, they doubled and tripled down on these bad policies through quantitative easing, printing trillions of dollars, taking
Right.
interest rates to zero and keeping them there. These are really bad policies and really bad for the economy, and we can go into detail as to why that is. And so when I was talking with my clients, I would talk about why this is really bad and how it's going to end really bad. It looks
Yeah.
good in the short term. It looks good when you're driving stock markets higher and house prices are going higher. Everybody feels great. Oh, I feel wealthier. They go spend more money.
Right.
GDP starts going up. But it's extremely harmful to the economy, the main economy. And so I would talk about this, and I would talk about it in terms that people could understand. My great passion and focus became making sure that people could understand what I was saying. So I don't use complicated financial jargon. I use very
Mhm.
understand terminology,
Yeah.
which is not easy, right? You have to put yourself in other people's shoes.
Right.
I spend my life in the finance industry. It often speaks a different language than for
Mhm.
the average person. So don't use that language. They're not going to understand you.
Yeah.
It's not that they're stupid. It's just a different language. So if someone's talking in Greek and you can't understand what they're saying and you don't speak Greek, it's not that you're stupid. You just don't understand Greek.
Right.
And so
Right.
I had a number of clients over the years, tell me that I should write a book about this. And so I left my company, which was Mackenzie Investments, back in 2023. Yeah,
Okay.
2023. Just so I could focus on finishing my book, which I'd started in 2019. And I couldn't really find enough time. I could only write on vacations. It's hard enough reading a book, never mind writing one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so then it got published last year, first in the UK and then in the US and Canada and Australia. And I have a free blog on my website. It's a free weekly blog, so anyone can just sign up, put your email in there, you get notifications. It's also on Substack now.
Okay.
And it's called Political Economy. So my first name,
Yeah.
Paul, Itical
Mhm.
Economy. We love puns in our house. So
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's a weekly post about what's going on in the world. I pick certain things to talk about and try sort of to cut through the headlines.
Mhm.
Like there's a lot of misinformation out there, not deliberate, but a lot of received wisdom that isn't.
Yeah.
And just try to empower people with truth, understanding, knowledge. And the more people understand, the more they understand what other people's motives have been. It could be policymakers, could be your neighbor, could be your family, whatever.
Mhm.
The more understanding you have, I find the more compassion you can have for people, and a lot of anger can dissipate once you have a better understanding of things. And so that's sort of the
Yeah.
goal with my book and with my blog.
Yeah.
And yeah, having a lot of fun with it.
Good. Do you have a copy of your book next to you?
I don't.
No? Okay.
so,
Where can people find it?
so it's online. Very few bookstores have it on the shelf. Like
Okay.
right now, I'm in South Palm Beach, and there's a store, Barnes and Noble in Boca Raton. They always have it on the shelf for some reason.
Yeah.
But anywhere else, it's online. So Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Thrift Books, and I'm sure there are others.
Okay.
So it's called Capital Offense: Why Some Benefit at Your Expense,
Okay.
and it's quite a provocative title, I admit,
Yeah.
but
Well,
it's
that's
it's
good.
well, yeah, it
You
is. It's
know?
all, and I think it's for the right reason. So
Mhm.
maybe I'll just explain why it's called that.
Okay.
And so most people don't differentiate between capital and money, and they're two very different things. So they're both important, but capital is far more important. So capital is anything that you produce, good or a service. So let's say you produce a bike. You
Mhm.
just created capital. I create a suit. I've just created capital. And now we fairly exchange the capital for the suit. Now I've got your
Mhm.
bike, you've got my suit. Now, importantly, this didn't come at anybody else's expense in society, right? No one was coerced into doing anything. You created a bike of your own free will. I did the same with my suit.
Yeah.
So there was no bike or suit in the economy, and now there's one of each. So
Yeah.
there's this much more capital now, and nobody else out there is suffering from
Uh-huh.
that. Really important. So we don't live. So when we do direct exchange, that's called barter. And so we don't have a barter economy where we just exchange
Mhm.
goods with each other. We do what's called indirect exchange. We we exchange through money. So you will sell your bike. Let's say it's a nice bike. You sell your bike for
Yeah.
$1,000. I sell my suit for $1,000. Now you can use your $1,000 to come buy my suit, and I can use my $1,000 to buy your bike. So that's indirect exchange. But this is where the trouble starts. So let's say you make 10 bikes.
Mhm.
You sell them for $1,000 each. You've got $10,000. You put that in your bank account. What that $10,000 effectively represents is the 10 bikes that you created. So that
Yeah.
$10,000 is storing $10,000 of capital. It's storing the 10 bikes that you created, temporarily storing those 10 bikes until you can spend them,
Mhm.
right? But it's in the money, right? So you don't spend the $10,000 right away because you're planning on going on a nice vacation at the end of the year, let's say.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, before you get a chance to spend your $10,000, the central bank, the Federal Reserve, let's say they double the money supply. Now, when a central bank creates new money, they don't create any capital to obtain that money. They just print it out of thin air. They press a few buttons and
Right.
digital, they just create it out of thin air. There's
Yeah.
no capital in it. But it does obtain capital as soon as it comes into the economy by taking capital from the rest of the money that's already in existence. So as soon as that newly created money comes into
Mhm.
the economy, it takes half of the bikes from your $10,000 and puts it into the new money. And so your bank statement still says that you have $10,000, so you're feeling pretty good,
Right.
but it's only storing 5 bikes now instead of 10. And so now your $10,000 will only buy half as much as it would have done before the central bank doubled the money supply. And so, of course, it's reflected in inflation. So you were going to go on a really nice luxury $10,000 vacation,
Mhm.
but now the central bank doubled the money supply. So now that really nice vacation is $20,000 instead of $10,000.
Yeah.
So that's why it's called, my book, Capital Offense, because they take your capital away from you after you've created it and stored it in money
Mhm.
without your permission. And this should not be happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, and I sort of cut corners and whatnot, but in my book, I go very carefully and slowly, step by step, to help people in their understanding of
Yeah.
what's going on. And I use analogies and stories and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I did a podcast last week with a guy from England.
Uh-huh.
He's a human resources professional,
Okay.
and he said, "Yeah, I never," because he read the book. He said, "I never, as an HR guy, I never expected to read a book on monetary theory and economics that was a page turner, as he called it." So
Nice.
yeah, so that was
That's
a
a
really
good
nice.
compliment.
It was a great compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it meant a lot actually. So yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why the title of the book.
I I think that there are a lot of people that could benefit from the analogies that you use because I've never taken an economics class, and when you're only hearing the terminology that you're not used to, it can be it's more difficult to learn, basically,
Well,
and
well, and then you don't even try. You just tune out. You say,
yeah,
I'll never be able to figure this out, or I could, but it's going to take me a year just to figure out the terminology. Forget it.
yeah,
But where everybody's busy. Everyone's got stuff to do in their lives.
yeah, yeah. uh, so how does the central bank is are there any other ways that the central bank interventions impact the average citizen?
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, big time. And again, I'll repeat, it's it's not that they're bad people.
Mm,
It's just the short term focus based on what I think and a number of other things or other people think is just fallacious economic doctrine. So the one way in which it really impacts people. So the central banks, they control um, short-term interest rates. And by controlling short-term interest rates, that also has an impact on longer-term interest rates. And then they can directly impact longer-term interest rates by printing money and buying bonds, 10-year
mhm,
bonds. And we can go into detail if you want how that works. It's not really necessary, but we can. But the point is that they control interest rates. And so so just back up a second. Back in the 90s, there was a dot-com boom. So it was a technology boom, and
yeah,
it was there was a lot of tremendous growth in productivity, but stocks were outrageously overpriced. Everybody got so excited they're all going to make a fortune, and stocks are only going to go up 25-30% per year, all this kind of nonsense.
yeah,
And so when that was happening, people's stock portfolios were growing, and people were seeing that they were wealthier. And
mhm,
so that results in what's called a wealth effect. This is what central banks talk about a lot. So, a wealth effect is when you see your assets going higher, your investment portfolio, so you feel wealthier. So, you go out and you spend more money. And why wouldn't
yeah,
you? Oh, maybe I'll upgrade my car. Maybe I'll go on another trip, or maybe I'll put an addition on the house or another widescreen TV, whatever.
mhm,
So that's good for spending, right? Good for spending.
yeah,
But then the dot-com bubble crashed, stock portfolios went down, and there was what's called a negative wealth effect. People were feeling less wealthy, so spending less money. And
mhm,
so GDP, which stands for gross domestic product, which is a measure of all final spending in the economy, that was going down because people were spending less. And so there were some commentators in the market who were suggesting that the US central bank should now create another wealth effect, but instead of through the stock market, do it through housing because more people own houses than stocks.
mhm,
And so the Federal Reserve, they're very careful about how they word things. They won't come right out and say we're deliberately trying to drive housing prices higher, but that's what they did, in my opinion.
yeah,
And so after the recession in 2001, which was a very mild recession, was only one quarter of economic contraction. So they took rates down to 1% and kept them very low for 3 years. They kept interest rates at what would such low levels they would normally be considered emergency interest rate levels. We must be at war or something like that. No,
uh-huh,
they were trying to drive asset prices higher and create another wealth effect. And then you had that crazy housing boom in '04, '05, '06, I think it peaked.
mhm,
And it did create a massive wealth effect. People were extracting hundreds of billions of dollars in total each year from their
jeez,
homes and spending it. And so the economy
yeah,
was on fire because people were spending so much money because the prices of their houses kept going up. And
yeah,
then you had all these crazy mortgage instruments that financial institutions were creating to perpetuate the housing boom.
Mhm.
because when you pay your mortgage every month, part of your payment goes to the principal and part goes to the interest.
Yeah.
So they started offering interest only mortgages. And so
Oh,
you weren't paying any principal down. It was all interest. That means you could buy a much more expensive home. Then they
yeah.
started issuing negative amortization mortgages. So the interest rate might be 6% on your mortgage, but for the
Uh-huh.
first 3 years, you'd only have to pay 2%. The other
Yeah.
4% interest each month was added on top of your mortgage. So your mortgage was getting bigger
Oh.
each month. Again, to encourage people to buy more expensive homes and drive those prices higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the whole thing came crashing down. And rather than say to themselves, well, maybe we shouldn't have done that, they doubled and tripled down on that by printing trillions of dollars and buying mortgage backed securities to drive mortgage rates to the floor
Mhm.
and to drive housing prices back up. So, so, so that's bad enough.
Yeah.
But where we are now in terms of the house price to income, I think we're at record levels or near record levels where, as we said earlier, most younger people can't afford to buy a home.
Yeah.
Now, uh, the price of a home has no business going up. It has no business increasing. It's not a productive asset. Remember before
Yeah.
we were talking about how you made a bike, I made a suit. We both created capital.
Mhm.
When I take clients' capital, I invest in companies, and those companies take that capital, put it to productive use, and there's more capital being created in the world, which drives stock markets higher. So, stock markets going higher is a
Yeah.
reflection of more and more capital being produced, more wealth being created, more people better off. So, our house, we live in a suburb of Toronto. We bought it in
Mhm.
2001. The last 24, 25 years, it's quadrupled in price,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But what capital is my house producing? It's not producing 4 times more capital than it produced back in 2001. It hasn't
Right.
increased 4 times in size. It's not a
Yeah.
productive asset. It's the same economic good that a younger person or a newcomer immigrant to our country is forced to pay 4 times what we paid for it.
Mhm.
So instead of a creation of wealth, it's a redistribution of wealth within society. It's a redistribution of wealth from a younger couple's bank account into our bank account. And
Yeah.
so, so we make 4 times on our home. And like I said earlier, if you have wealth, it's supposed to be a reflection of wealth that others out there have because of your efforts. So if we
Mhm.
make 4 times on our home, who else out there has 4 times that amount of wealth? Nobody. Not only
Right.
that, it's much worse than that because not only did someone out there not have 4 times what we have, just like we have,
Mhm.
they have 4 times less. So our benefit of our house price for baby boomers, I'm 64,
Okay.
we're benefiting at the expense of the next generation. Now, don't get me wrong. My generation, we haven't done anything wrong. We've all played by the rules. We just
Right.
say, well, look, house prices always go up, so let's get in there. And then it's also very easy for people of my generation to convince ourselves that we're entitled to it, that we deserve it. Oh, I know something
Mhm.
about real estate. I bought a house at the right time. That no, you just got lucky, right?
Yeah.
And so the vast majority of people my age, when I tell them this story, of course they don't like it,
Mhm.
but they quickly realize and they quickly understand
Yeah.
and they know that it's not fair.
Yeah.
And every now and then I run into somebody who just they hate it so much they just are unwilling to understand. It's not that they can't, but it's just too painful, I guess, for them to admit that our benefit is coming at somebody else's expense.
Mhm.
And there's an old line by someone called Upton Sinclair. from the 1930s.
Yeah.
He said if somebody's income depends on them not understanding something, then don't expect them to understand it. They don't want to understand it. It's not that they can't. They don't, and I understand. So
Yeah.
they're not bad people, but so this is not the only way that central bank actions have a significant impact on people's lives, on the average person's lives. But I think it's perhaps the biggest impact,
Yeah.
visible impact. And yeah, I said with good intentions, but it's entirely predictable. And I'd been talking about this for years, to whoever would listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, yeah, so yeah.
It going back to the suit and the bike, I was also thinking, well, if I had, you know, if suddenly I need to pay 4 times as much for a suit that's been used for how many years,
Mm,
it's an older suit now. It's not brand
yeah,
new.
true.
And yeah, but
Yeah, true. And in some, I mean, in some ways, houses are better than they were in the past. There's more modern features. In other ways, people will tell you they don't build houses like they used to.
right. Yeah.
So, and others will make an excuse. There's a lot of apologists out there, right? They
Mhm.
come up with every excuse why they should make a fortune on their home. Oh,
Yeah.
houses are much bigger now, and that's why they're more expensive. Well, first of all, in the last few years, they've been declining in size. But if you look back at when this really started from 2001, and you look at the
Mhm.
average annual increase in the size of a house,
Uh-huh.
it's minuscule. It's minuscule.
Okay.
I've got the number somewhere, but it's tiny. They have grown bigger,
Mhm.
0.5% a year or something like that, 1%.
Yeah.
And house prices have gone up way faster than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing well, and I mean, just we're we own our house. My husband bought it in 2008 for the whatever Obama did to get more
Mhm.
people to buy
Yeah,
homes.
yeah.
And we've been looking for something a little bit bigger. And I see that here in Iowa, there's a lot of 2-story homes, and I see a lot of the newer homes are bigger surface area, but they're 1
Mhm.
story, and I
Yeah,
kinda like those. But yeah, if you think
yeah,
about it, it's like, well, it looks bigger, but is it?
yeah.
'Cause it's 1 story instead of 2, but
Optical illusion.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to tell you about my sponsors real quick. Sometimes I get on a roll cleaning or gardening, and I need a boost but don't have time for a meal. Big Fork Brand's pork jerky is the perfect choice to keep my momentum, offering high-protein snacks for on-the-go energy boosts. Not only do they offer pork jerky, but they also make pork sticks, bacon sausage, bacon hot dogs, and burger and hot dog sauces. Products come in a variety of delicious flavors, including Thai green curry and maple and brown sugar for the meat options, and gangster and Chicago fire for the sauces. I personally think the original flavor of the pork jerky hits just right after tackling a big chore. It's a little salty and very flavorful. My discount code gives you 20% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit bigforkbrands.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Are you looking for a gift for a music lover, or maybe some apparel to show off your quirky side? Old Glory has you covered. With over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture, you're guaranteed to find the perfect item. They even have seasonal gear. My husband enjoys the Beatles and Led Zeppelin apparel, and I love the Billy Idol apparel. I even found items for my fellow plant enthusiasts. This family-owned superstore is known for their quality and customer service, offers free standard shipping on all orders, and orders are shipped the same day you purchase. My discount code gives you 15% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit oldglory.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Looking for a game-changing way to improve your health? Zevo Life is the world's most nutrient-dense whole plant, packed with over 50% plant protein, essential amino acids, fiber, and antioxidants. Harnessing the best nature has to offer, Ziva Life nourishes your body while driving your performance, vitality, and overall well being. Each serving is a concentrated source of clean, well balanced nutrition designed to support modern lifestyles, and just 1 teaspoon a day supports your gut, boosts energy, and promotes healthier skin and hair. It's no wonder that it's receiving rave 5-star reviews. Step into a healthier future with a 30% discount and a 30-day risk-free guarantee by visiting zivo.life and using my promo code. To support my show and to receive 30% off your entire order, enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. What reforms do you propose to address economic inequality?
So, step one, nothing will happen until the people demand it. And they can't demand change until they understand what's happening. And there's an old saying that people always get the government that they deserve. In other words, well, you voted them in, so stop complaining. Well, yes and no. So that, first of all, that's only true for the majority who voted, not true for the minority who voted for someone else.
Yeah.
Second, it's only true if the party that was elected actually does what they said they were going to do.
Right.
And then third, it's only true, in my opinion, if the people really understand what's happening and then can vote accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
You can't vote accordingly. You can't demand the right actions if you don't know what's going on.
Right.
Excuse me. So step one is really understanding how the economy works. You don't have to become an economist. You don't have to know every detail, monetary theory or pricing theory. No, just the basics. That understand that there is no such thing as a free lunch. Understand that if you're taking out more from the system than you're putting in, then somebody else is paying for it. Then somebody else is putting in more than they're taking out. Now, there are lots of circumstances when that is completely justified for people who, need help.
Yeah.
I'm not anti-government. I'm very pro-government and pro-welfare, but within reason.
Right.
Where it's
Right.
really needed, right?
Yeah.
And these things often get abused, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very easy for the people who are receiving those benefits, again, to justify and rationalize why they're entitled to them. We all think we're special, right?
Right. Yeah.
There'd be something wrong with you if you didn't think you were. And so, and then people talk about, well, we want more government benefits. They're not government benefits, they're taxpayer benefits. The government does not produce any capital. All the capital that the government spends, it first obtains from the private sector.
Yeah.
They either, so through taxation, which is all above board, we can see exactly how much we're being taxed. It's way too high, by the way, but
Yeah.
when you add all the other taxes, forget income tax, but property tax and sales tax and whatever, fees and stuff. So they can tax you to obtain capital. They can borrow your capital, so you buy U.S. Treasury bonds or T-bills or whatever. So they borrow capital.
Mm-hmm.
And the third way they obtain capital, like I said earlier, they print money, and that takes capital from the rest of the money already in existence. So government has a very important role to play. But just like my industry, the finance industry, neither of us really create any capital. We are facilitators of the creation of capital within the private sector.
Okay.
So the steps, my prescription for fixing the economy is first education. And then once people understand what's going on, they'll be in a position to demand different actions from our policymakers who are not bad people, they're good people. But if they did the right thing today, it'd be very unpopular with people because they think there is such a thing as a free lunch. They think that you can have your cake and eat it too, because that's what policymakers and academics have been telling us for years. It's a lot more fun to hear that message than to hear my message My
Yeah.
message is I'm a bit of a downer at parties, Oh, here he comes, let's go. And so once we demand better actions, then our politicians will be emboldened
Hmm.
and encouraged to make the right but difficult decisions. And and it's not going to be easy. And but we can all do it together. And when we all stop blaming each other. And right now, because a lot of people don't understand what's going on, but they know that they're suffering,
Yeah.
they know that the cost of living is getting worse, and they feel that the system is unfair. Then, not understanding what's going on, is very easy for Republicans then to blame Democrats and Democrats to blame Republicans. That's
Hmm.
the easy way out, right? It must be
Yeah.
their it must be their
Yeah.
fault. And I live in Toronto, but we right now I'm in South Palm Beach. We have a place down here,
Right.
condominium, and we have lots of friends down here who are Republicans and Democrats. Are all beautiful people. Agree on
Hmm.
95% of the stuff, but often they can't talk to each other, which is a real
Yeah.
shame. And you're not going to fix
Yeah.
anything if you don't talk to each other, right?
Right.
So that's step one. That's a big one. And then once people demand the right thing, they don't have to worry about what the right things are.
Hmm.
But here they are. Here are some of the things. So stop increasing the money supply so quickly.
Hmm.
It's a myth that the money supply needs to increase for the economy to grow. It's not true. And that, of course, leads to inflation when the money supply grows faster than the amount of stuff being produced.
Hmm.
You need a stable money supply or a very slowly growing money supply. And with the amount of stuff being produced growing at a faster rate than money, the prices of that stuff will necessarily come down.
Right.
It's called good deflation. So we should all be
Uh-huh.
benefiting from lower prices every year. The benefits of this should accrue to the consumer. That's what happened in the US in the last 30 years of the 1800s. You had stuff being produced at a faster rate than the money supply. And so
Yeah.
all this stuff had to come down in price because there was not as much money for amount of stuff being produced.
Hmm.
That's how it's supposed to work. And I go into detail in my book and I carefully explain why that happens. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing. Second thing is for central banks to stop distorting interest rates to drive asset prices higher. Interest rates need to be determined by market forces, by people like you, me, with our own skin in the game. We earn our
Hmm.
capital, we decide how we're going to allocate our capital. If you're going to lend it to the government or to a corporation, you decide what you think is a fair rate of interest. And if the interest rate is higher than the corporation likes or the government likes, well, too bad. They've got to fix
Yeah.
their balance sheet. But what happens today, if you only offer this, the central bank will come in and drive interest rates down to make it more affordable for corporations or governments.
Hmm.
These corporations, many of them are what's called zombies. They don't even produce enough profit to pay the interest expense on their debt. And it has a
Yeah.
terrible distortive impact on the economy, again, which I go into detail in the book very
Hmm.
carefully. So stop increasing the money supply at a rapid pace. Stop distorting interest rates, which harms the productive capacity of the economy
Uh-huh.
and drives asset prices higher, which is good for the owners of assets, but bad for everybody else. And then I have 10 steps, but I'll just go through the first three.
Okay.
Third one is to stop bailing out Wall Street.
Yeah.
So investors need to know that if they're making leveraged speculative bets, in other words, are taking on tens or hundreds of billions of dollars to make risky bets, they need to know that if it doesn't work out, the Federal Reserve, the central bank in the United States, will not come to their rescue. But now they know that the US central bank will come to their rescue. And
Hmm.
so it encourages even more reckless leverage speculation. It's called
Yeah.
moral hazard, right? You just get more of the bad stuff the more you bail it out. And just those three steps alone, to be honest with you, would solve
Yeah.
a lot of the world's problems, never mind just America. And
Yeah.
I think it would also serve to make the world a much less divided place. And I've got great faith in people. I think the average person is not only very smart, but I think the average person is a good person and wants to do the right thing and wants to help other people and enjoy seeing other people succeed. If you can get more, if you can have a fair system where
Mhm.
more people are then allowed to contribute and be part of the solution, you're just going
Yeah.
to have that much more wealth being created. You'll have a fairer distribution of that wealth based on true contributions, and the world will be a happier place. I really
Yeah.
believe it, and
Yeah.
yeah. So that's my prescription. It's not
Yeah.
easy medicine to take. I know that, but I think we can do it.
Yeah. So do you recommend maybe a required class in school that people have to
Sure,
take so that
sure.
they have a better understanding?
As long as I was able to put together the curriculum or
Y-
whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
the trouble is yes. To answer your
Mhm.
question, yes. But the trouble is that in school and in universities, people are taught what I consider to be bad economics.
Mhm.
Economics that the government wants you to learn.
Yeah.
Economics that tells you that yes, a 2% inflation target for central banks is what's required for an economy to grow. No, nothing could be further from the truth. Economics that tells you that debt and deficits don't matter. Yes, they do. They matter a lot.
Mhm.
If you're taught that they matter a lot, that means government's going to really have to pull back on spending, and they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so that would be the danger of having dedicated courses on this kind of stuff that, if they're taught the wrong stuff, it could make the situation even worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least in some cases, people are ignorant. Better to be ignorant than to have the wrong view, I guess.
Yeah.
But if we can
Yeah.
all agree on, sound economic principles, the true laws of economics, and have those taught, that would be a wonderful thing. And I
Mhm.
think it would be so empowering for people. But the trouble is that the laws of economics can be very inconvenient, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not make you very popular. But yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just making me think about um what we've seen here in the United States with the back and forth between President Trump and Fed Chair Jerome Powell and um, the buying of the what was it, $200 billion of
Mortgage
mortgage. Yeah,
securities. Yeah, I just wrote about
yeah,
this in the blog. Yeah, it's
yeah.
a bad
Oh, did
thing.
you? I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to read it because
yeah.
like I said, I haven't taken it in a class in economics, and so it's so yeah, I want to read that so that I can better understand how that's going to affect us, I guess. So,
Yeah, it probably won't have a huge effect,
mhm.
but when the central bank, I mean, they bought trillions of dollars of mortgage-backed securities, and that drove down the 30-year fixed rate mortgage rate in America
Okay.
and created the housing bubble and
Mhm.
created the housing affordability crisis. There was no need for it at all. And
Yeah.
they thought there was very short term in nature. It was just reckless, just
Yeah.
reckless. Yeah, it was in my last post, which was post 350, I think.
Okay. Um, so I definitely wanna talk more about your blog. But I, how do you Like, I have a question here on what challenges do you foresee in implementing the reforms you suggest? I I guess, like, to me, I would think that the biggest challenge is getting people involved, getting them to want to learn more, um, to pressure their politicians to vote a certain way, and it just seems like a very difficult task.
Yeah, yeah. Well, particularly when people don't see that there's a way forward. So, well, why should
Mhm.
I bother learning this stuff? What difference can I make? And
Yeah.
it can make a big difference, when people get together, and particularly Americans. You guys have this sort of can-do spirit. Once you put your minds to it and you get together, you guys can do anything. But when 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 you don't really understand, when you think that the issues are the other party rather than the economic system,
Mhm.
then all your
Yeah.
focus goes on to, what bad things can I say about the other party? How can I assassinate their character and all this kind of stuff,
Mhm.
and so yeah, so it won't be easy at all. But I've talked to a lot of people about this over the last number of years, and and I was going to say I'm surprised at how. No, I'm not surprised actually, because I do have faith in people. Like, people get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot. And like, once you grasp some truths, then you're encouraged to go find out more. Then you're encouraged to say, I can do this. It is within my grasp, or within my ability.
Mhm.
Again, you don't have to know it all. And then when you see those around you are talking about it as well, um, yeah, it's not going to be easy,
Yeah.
and I have no idea how long it will take, or
Yeah.
even if it will happen. But I do know that the path that we are on is unsustainable. Now, my, when I say, I typically say that this can end in two broad ways, if you will.
Mhm.
A, we keep kicking the can down the road, pretending that everything's okay, and just
Yeah.
doing more of the same. And eventually, we end up in a global financial crisis way worse than the one in '08 and '09. And so it's an out of control explosion. It'd be very, very painful for millions of people.
Mhm.
Now, that could be the opportunity to fix things. There's an old saying that never waste a good crisis.
Right.
People are
Yeah.
going through crisis, they're finally willing to do the right thing. It's only after somebody has a heart attack that they finally agree to go through the pain of stop smoking or
Yeah.
eating better and whatnot, because they're already suffering, so I might as well. But the last crisis was wasted. It was
Yeah.
absolutely wasted, and that was, it made me so angry. Anyway, so that's the first possibility.
Uh-huh.
When that happens, nobody knows, but it will
Right.
eventually happen. And we might not waste that crisis, and we might finally do the right thing.
Mhm.
I don't know that double tripling down again would work. I think that we could end up with something far, far worse, like moving to like a hardcore socialist type state, which, if you think things are bad now, it'd be far worse
Yeah.
if that happened.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the first thing. The other approach is my approach, which is the controlled implosion, like when you
Mhm.
set explosives in a building to bring it down. Yes, it comes down, the building is destroyed, but there's no collateral damage.
Uh-huh.
And so that too will be harmful, but far less harmful than option A, and where we fix it ourselves. We
Mhm.
had, and and that's particularly harmful for my generation, whose assets have been driven unfairly higher by these policies. So the value of our assets, stock portfolios, our houses, will come down. And
Yeah.
that's not much fun for people like me, my age.
Right.
But I
Right.
want that to happen because I know, like, not all of my, I don't want all of my wealth to go to zero,
Yeah.
but my stock portfolio, I want it to be reflective of the true capital that the businesses I was investing in have created.
Mhm.
Stock prices are very expensive, which means my stock portfolio is worth significantly more than the value of the capital that the business created, which is not fair. And of course, my house price, I would like to see it go back to fair value, not because I want my wealth to go down, but then if that happens, I know that the next generation can fairly afford the same sort of house that I was able to afford.
Right.
It's a moral issue, really,
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
anything else. But it's particularly and and again, as I said earlier, people in my generation, we haven't done anything wrong. And even worse is that because of these monetary policies, people my age were encouraged to save less because they assumed that they could just rely on the rapidly inflating price of their home for their
Mhm.
retirement. Well, I don't have to save
Right.
as much as as my parents did. And
Yeah.
so society as a whole saved less than it otherwise would have done, which means there was less savings and less investment than there otherwise would have been.
Mhm.
Thus, there is less wealth being created today than there otherwise would have been if central banks hadn't driven housing prices higher and encouraged people to rely on that for their retirement. But
Yeah.
that's what people did, and it's a perfectly rational thing to do. So now you're in a really tricky situation where a lot of baby boomers, they can't afford to see the home price go down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, and not only that, but a lot of them were encouraged to borrow on the rising price of their home, to
Mhm.
refinance, extract equity out. So they're adding more and more debt onto their home. It used to
Yeah.
be that you used to pay off your mortgage, and that was your nest egg. That would fund your
Yeah.
retirement. But you're funding your retirement with the capital that you created. Every time you pay down your mortgage, you're injecting effectively the capital that you created into your home. So if you make
Mhm.
bikes for a living, you finally paid off your home. You're you're effectively storing all the bikes that you created, all the capital you created. They're all stored up in your home.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
extract equity from your home and spend that.
Yeah.
But people started borrowing more in their home, and so there are fewer and fewer bikes in their home and more debt.
Mhm.
And so, for a lot of people, the situation is quite precarious if the prices of their homes come down.
Yeah.
If the government stops that from happening, effectively what the government is saying is that we're okay with this outrageous and enormous amount of mortgage debt of the next generation funding the retirement of baby boomers.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what's happening. There's no way around it
Mhm.
of admitting that truth. I
Yeah.
mean, you can deny it, yeah, but it doesn't make it any less true.
Yeah.
And so, for those who, and particularly painful for younger people who recently bought their first home at an inflated price to then see it go down 30%,
Mhm.
something like that, that's no fun,
Right.
and I get that. And for people who then have to move and take a 30% loss and lose all their down payment, then there should
Yeah.
be not government but taxpayer benefits, from those who made huge capital gains on their homes. Some of that can be taxed. I mean, it is taxed over
Yeah.
250,000, 500,000, I think, in the States. In Canada, it's not taxed at all.
Oh.
And yeah, and then so, if you make an outrageous amount of money in your home, a certain percentage of that could be taxed, and that would be dedicated to helping those who lost money on their homes or something like that.
Mhm.
Like, and you got to be careful because these systems can always be abused.
Yeah.
But the point is that if we all work together, I think we can find solutions
Yeah.
to help those who would suffer from doing the right thing. And Yeah, but unfortunately, there's no easy way out. I wish there was. The
Hmm.
easy way out would have been to not have done this in the first place.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they did do it. It's like easy way out of not having heart surgery is not to have smoked and had a bad diet and not exercised your whole life. Yeah, but
Hmm.
I did that. So what can we do now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's going to be some pain, and okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's so I'm not sure what senior living is like in Canada because our healthcare systems are so different, but I've been involved with moving my grandmother to the assisted living across the street from me, and she did everything right.
yeah,
She invested in long-term care insurance. She had all these different accounts, saved this money, and then so her mortgage was just a straight, you know, um, asset and can fund where she's living. But it really made me think about the people around me that, we might be planning for retirement, but we're not planning for our long-term care.
yeah.
And yeah, just describing the housing and how so many people are planning to retire on the cost of their house. Well, that's not enough, at least in the United States, when nursing homes are, I mean, assisted livings are cheaper. Nursing homes can be $11,000 a month, and
Crazy. Yeah,
it's insane.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, it's, it's similar in Canada. There are some very expensive retirement homes. Actually,
Mhm.
I have three daughters, and my middle daughter actually works in a retirement home,
Okay.
and she does amazing work there. But it's not easy. It's
Mhm.
not easy, and yeah, I mean, it's sort of beyond what I talk about in the book, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
again, these things are need to be talked about,
Mhm.
and I think if we all talk about these things in good faith and try to help each other and not at the expense of other people, then I think we can come to good solutions, good answers.
Yeah.
People don't want to see other people suffer. I mean, if
Right.
I mean, my daughter's a singer as well, and we go to the retirement homes
Oh.
and and see what it's like.
Mhm.
And anything you can do to help people in retirement homes and in their final days, and you can see it has such a big impact on them.
Yeah.
And yeah, rather than have them sort of pushed away and forgotten and live
Yeah.
out the final days, so
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how does your blog, Political Economy, contribute to public understanding of economic issues? Because I think that this is a really good start for everybody is to read something as well as your book in a format that they can understand. I think that this would be a good, starting point for anyone
Yeah.
who wants to get more involved.
Well, thank you very much, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so the blog, what I do is I focus on what's going on in the economy,
Mhm.
and in the world. I try to have some fun with it at times. I include videos and make the odd joke here and there. Um, but like for instance, I'll talk about a company that just reported, and I'll have it might be Home Depot. So I might have, okay, well, do you know where Home Depot started? When it started? So I don't go through like a whole history, but just a few
Yeah.
things. Oh, it started in the 70s in Atlanta, Georgia. Here was their
Mhm.
business model. Here's why they're successful. So
Yeah.
what's going on in the business over the last few years? So I'll have their sales each quarter so you can see if they're growing or falling. It's all very simply laid out just to give you a
Mhm.
sense of how the economy is doing. Because you might just read the headlines, oh, GDP is this, everybody, you never had it so good. As policymakers will tell you. But then when you see the companies reporting, their sales are going down, fewer people are going to their restaurants. But,
Mm.
so getting more from the ground up.
Yeah.
So in my upcoming blog, I'm talking about Delta Airlines. In the
Okay.
headline, their sales are up, not much. like their air travel
Yeah.
passenger sales are up just barely. They're much stronger before. But then when you look at the breakdown, um, business class or premium seats, they're
Uh-huh.
up like 6% or something like that. But economy class sales are down 9%.
Okay.
So it's what people call a K-shaped. Have you ever heard of this? A K-shaped economic recovery, or
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
so just basically people in the finance industry, they love this sort of stuff. So when the economy is in recession, the stock markets go down.
Uh-huh.
Some might call it a V-shaped recovery. So yes, the
Okay.
economy is going down, but it's going to come
Mhm.
shooting back up, and it's going to be in the shape of a V.
Uh-huh.
Others say, well, it's going to be an L-shaped recovery. It's going to go down, and then it's going to continue at this lower level for a long time.
Okay.
And come on, all kinds of, or it'll be a W. It'll go down, up a bit, down, up a bit, right, and then it'll go up. All kind.
Yeah.
So a K-shaped recovery is, so you got your letter K,
Uh-huh.
but one line comes down like this, and the other line goes up like that. So the K-shaped recovery is that the top 10%, things are getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
The bottom 90%, or particularly bottom 50%, things are getting worse and worse and worse. So that's called a K-shaped recovery. I call it the special K economic
Yeah.
recovery.
Yeah.
And so you'll see, and like for a lot of companies, so like Target, the department store, I'll put their
Mhm.
results in there, and they've been suffering. Part of
Yeah.
it is because they're a department store and they suffer from online shopping
Yeah.
and, and consumer product companies selling direct. And, and so when you look at their sales, the groceries or essentials might still be growing, but then the discretionary categories
Mhm.
are falling because people can't afford it anymore.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
just look at the sales number; it was positive. No, but it's only because people are buying more, food and stuff, essential
Right.
stuff like that.
Right.
So just like, yeah, it just could be anything. And so people learn about the history of a business, which is often really fascinating. Right
Mhm.
now, who is it? Netflix is trying to buy Warner
Is it
Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Warner
Okay.
Brothers?
I think so, because I was hearing Paramount. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
Paramount
know.
is trying to buy them as well.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
so then you know, I'll talk about that, and then I'll just go back and do a quick history of Warner Brothers,
Okay.
or even
Nice.
like a quick history of Netflix and how it started off. And it was a one monthly flat fee. You could keep
Yes.
the discs as long as you wanted, rent as many as you
Yeah.
wanted, you know. And that was in the '90s, late '90s, I think it was. And I was buying Warner Brothers. It's
Yeah.
like so stuff
Yeah.
like that. And then when there's housing related stuff, I will have that in there. What house
Mhm.
prices are doing. There'll be an article. Well, there was an article recently saying that the I think it was saying that the administration was buying the 200 billion mortgage-backed securities to get house prices down. No, that's it's
Yeah.
going to have the opposite effect. It's going to drive
Oh.
housing prices higher because it makes the mortgage payment more affordable in the short
Mhm.
term. When you drive interest rates down, it doesn't make
Yeah.
housing more affordable. It makes your mortgage payment more affordable in the short term. But then more people can buy houses, it increases demand, and it pushes the prices of those houses up. So it
Yeah.
has a short term benefit, but a long term consequence, a severe consequence.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the issues is that, a lot of policymakers will only look at the short term and first order effect impact of their actions, not the
Yeah.
second and third order effect impacts that can happen 2 or 3 years down the road.
Yeah.
It's like the first order effect of me deciding to have a cheeseburger is that it tastes fantastic and that
Yeah.
the but if I'm
Yeah.
doing it every day, the second and third order effects, I'm starting to pack on the pounds and my health is not that great, right? But that's in
Mhm.
the future. I'll worry about that. I'll get more
Right.
discipline later on.
Yeah.
And then I have a section called financial ructions, and that can be a little bit more, but not a lot. Even there, I keep it as simple as possible. Just
Mhm.
talk about what might be going on in the financial markets. but I don't get it into sophisticated stuff for the main, primarily because I'm not a sophisticated person. I don't think in those terms, and so I try to keep it as simple as possible. And then finally, I have a book review section. So each
Okay.
week, I review one or two chapters of a book that I'm reading. And again, to attempt to dispel some of these myths. So the book I'm reading now explains how, no, it wasn't. So, during the Great Depression, things were pretty
Uh-huh.
bad in the States, and the received wisdom is
Yeah.
that once that World War II started, GDP went through the roof, and so the economy was in great shape. Well, no, GDP went through the roof because of all the government spending on
Mm,
building tanks and ships and stuff like that. But from a consumer perspective, in many regards, it was actually worse than it was during the Great
yeah.
Depression. The prosperity started after the war ended and after government spending went down. So that's the book I'm reviewing now.
Yeah.
So again, just laying it out very simply, and and uh, and another benefit of it, to be honest with you, is that I learn a lot myself when I write my blog.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
learned, I didn't know that about the history of Warner Brothers, or if I'm writing about some sort of monetary policy, I better double check that and make sure I've
Hmm.
got it right. Because it's very easy to have firm convictions in your head, because there's
Yeah.
no one in your head to challenge it,
Yeah.
right? But when you're
Yeah.
putting something down on paper for the whole world to see,
Hmm.
well, I better make sure of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I, yeah.
I discovered that I was wrong about certain
Yeah.
things, and so that's good.
Yeah. I catch myself doing that for this podcast as
I
well.
bet.
It's like,
I bet.
yeah,
Yeah.
hold hold myself accountable with, yeah, making sure I'm learning something every day.
Yeah. Oh, good
So,
for you. Good for you.
yeah. So, all right. Well, I'll get the link to your blog, and
Thank
I
you.
can find the Amazon link to your book, and I will put those in the episode notes for the viewers to be able to easily click on that and find you. Is there anything else you'd like the audience to know?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, but I just be repeating myself.
Yeah.
Maybe finish off with empathy.
Yeah.
Don't. When I was younger, somebody asked me this before. If one thing I could change when I was younger, I wish I had more empathy, and I wish I wasn't so sure of myself with respect to who other people were.
Mhm.
And life is could be tricky, and you don't
Yeah.
know what people are going through, either emotionally, in a relationship, or financially, or hardship that they might be going through. And so, yeah, I wish I had more compassion, and I wish I'd been less judgmental.
Yeah.
And it feels good when you're less judgmental. Like in some ways, it
Yeah.
feels good to be judgmental. We all know how that
Yeah.
feels. Right? Yeah, make you feel better about yourself. But you can train yourself to be less that way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, maybe just finish off with that.
Yeah. Sounds good. Great. Well, thank you again for being here today.
Well,
It
thanks, Sam.
was really nice talking to you. I've got some things to check out that I'm happy to learn about. So,
Oh,
and
fantastic. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's
yeah.
really nice to meet you. And yeah, I'd like to see your parrot one day.
Oh, yeah. I can send you a picture of him.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
I will. I
Yeah.
will.
Okay.
Sounds good.